10 years ago, a group of friends decided that they wanted to try this role-playing malarkey, and so they got together around the table to play some awesome role-playing games. And that's where it ended. But along the way, we met some amazing characters, and, well, the magic that is role-playing brought together the most unlikely of individuals. At least, that's where it seemed to be heading. That was 12-Sided Dice Season 1. And now...
I just met her. What could she have for me?
I don't know, maybe she wants you to sign a picture for the store.
Oh, God.
Should put it behind the register next to the one with Lucy Lawless and the guy that wrote A Stitch in Time.
What if this fan support thing doesn't work?
Well, if you don't get the money, you don't have to produce it.
No. What if people don't want what I'm offering anymore?
Can't believe I'm telling you this, but you gotta roll the dice.
I'm too old for that.
Risk is your business. Well, right now, birthday parties are your business, but why do that when you could be coming up with new stuff for us to buy and to inspire us?
12-Sided Dice Season 2 is on Kickstarter. They're looking to finish funding on this amazing comedy miniseries, and it is full of Star Trek alumni. Tim Russ directs the show, Kitty Swink joins the team as one of the actors, and Andrew Robinson, our own Garrick, gets a part as well. It's super fun, super full of laughs. It is so accurate to what life is like, and it is so awesome to see these characters come to life. If you are able, head on over to the Kickstarter, the link is down below, and support this amazing project. They've only got 4 days to go from today's video, and, well, they're nearly there. We just need to get them across the finish line. Remember, financial security before role-playing. And now, hi, it's Guy here from Off My Bridge. Well, today, as you will have seen at the beginning of the video, we're talking to two amazing people and wonderful performers. And it's all to do with 12-Sided Dice, the Season 2 Kickstarter, which is currently running. 12-Sided Dice, the series, is all about role-playing and the trials and tribulations that a bunch of friends go through to just really try and play the game, man. I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it. We can all sympathize. But now we get to learn how Vulcans do it, or at least how they bear with us, emotional bags of humans. Check out this amazing interview. Fantastic to have both of you on Off My Bridge. I really appreciate you both making the time to join me here. We've got Curtis and Tim running the show 12-Sided Die. Now, this is a fantastic comedy series that Curtis, you wrote, and Tim, you have directed. Yes. And it's got a big Star Trek leaning to it.
It is, yeah. And Kitty, if I may, Kitty Swink is in it as well.
Absolutely.
She had 2 parts on Deep Space Nine. She's an amazing actress in her own right. But yeah, and it's about it. The backdrop is role playing, and I mean, Tim and I have even talked about this because when I pitched it to you, Tim, you knew not a lot about role playing, but because you said that's kind of the backdrop, but the characters really kind of spoke to you to take on the project and their interaction. I think even you used the word antics at one point when we were talking.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's exactly it. And I had never experienced anything close to role playing games of any kind. Not even a shadow of it. And but looking at the first season, what was captivating was just the interaction of the antics and hijinks of all of the characters involved, their relationships with each other, how they related to each other, what was going on. And in the second season, you know, there are the objectives of these characters. There are objectives. There are obstacles that they have to overcome. There are relationships that are involved. And the main character, Curtis's character, having to to wrestle with all that with the help of his friends.
Mm.
So it's not there's definitely a story about the people, and it's there are things happening there besides the game. The game is just a backdrop.
Tim, you keep getting brought back to the Star Trek universe to reprise the role of Tuvok. How do you get into the mindset of that kind of character? Because that's a different species altogether.
Yeah. I mean, it's as far as the concept of that character and the attitudes and the ways that this character thinks and works and interacts with other human beings, that has been established prior to my taking the role. So I'm sort of filling in the shoes and continuing the legacy of what Leonard Nimoy put together as this character. So I didn't. Other characters you've seen on there, they all have a starting point, and they're the ones who are starting it, and creating all the aspects of this character. I'm sort of continuing this legacy. So filling the role is just the main goal is to make that character believable for the fans when they see him, because they know the walk and talk of this character, and if you don't have that walk and talk, they're not going to buy it. So that's the main thing from a technical issue. And as far as being able to play this character, it's very easy because, as an actor, you train to show emotions. That's what you train for.
Right.
That's what you workshop for, take classes for. That's what you focus on. Because if an audience, a human audience watching a human being on television or on film, they're going to react based on your emotion. If you are not honest and believable in what you're portraying, then they're not going to buy it, and they're just going to tune out. So that's the trick, is showing emotion, showing the dynamics and the nuances of a scene.
Right.
For Tuvok, it's simple. You're basically playing King Lear with your eyebrow. That's what's happening. It's very subtle, and you're just bouncing off the human beings who are all over the map, and you don't have to be. You're grounded, and it's just, it's so simple to be able to do that. And, true to form, most of the characters on my series were not unlike their own personalities. And Curtis knows this. The casting is really about, in part, the personality of the person. I mean, so if you want a jokester and a huckster, then you're going to get somebody who's a jokester and a huckster. If you want somebody who's big cheerleader, or the dumb jock, or the nerd, or the business guy, you're gonna wait till somebody walks in the office through the door, and that's going to be them. And my friends have accused me of being a little bit like this character, so there's not a whole big long stretch to get to him.
I would disagree with that. In this process, you love to laugh. You love to have a good time. I love to laugh, but
there is definitely a serious side to me. There is definitely a side to me that craves common sense, that craves logic, that craves order, that craves sensibility and practicality and functionality. So I am, when I'm dealing with websites or customer service or whatever it may come out to, where the operation of something just hasn't been thought through, it drives me absolutely bananas. And it's like every other day with this crap. So in that respect, Tuvok, the only thing I'm lacking from him is maybe patience. But at the end of the day,
right,
the desire for things to be put together sensibly, to work, to be functional, to be practical, to be logical in their operation, in their organization, that is very much something that I crave. And these days it's just, man, is it sorely lacking.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
I have to ask this question. One of my fans, Eric von Roxalot on Discord, asked this question. Did you train the eyebrow raise, or were you just naturally able to do the eyebrow raise?
Yeah, it came naturally.
It just came naturally.
And it's mostly just the right one. I really can't do the left one without the right one. That side of my face is stronger than the other side. So
I got you.
that's just how that works. Yeah. Yeah.
With regards to the Vulcan character, and this is just Vulcans in general, was there anything, or is there anything that you felt could have been explored further, or that you would have liked to have explored further, Tim?
Not really, because I had approached them at the beginning of the series about giving me a couple of different concepts and storylines based on him being Vulcan specifically, not having and not acting on emotion, not having those emotions be the dominant reason for his behavior, his actions. I wanted to counter that with stories that challenge. So problem solving, things that challenge his Vulcan demeanor, so he would not be able to use logic. That's always going to be the most interesting storyline. So how is he going to get himself out of this situation? How is he going to solve the problem when he cannot use logic, when logic is not going to work? You have to go another route. How is he going to find that aspect, that approach, when he's so conditioned not to go anywhere near there? When he's conditioned to use only common sense and logic. And we've done it a number of times. It was done on the original series, and I know we did it at least once or twice on Voyager. So those are the most interesting, concepts for this character, to challenge the character. Because to me, it's about challenging the character. It's about putting him in a situation. How do you get out of it? To make it interesting. That to me is really the best, and we did manage to achieve it a couple times on Voyager.
How do you try to make characters different? So Curtis, you're not just in this show, you're in other shows as well. How do you try and put on a different stamp for each of the characters? Is it very much what the script is asking for, or what the director's asking for?
Because my background is in stand-up comedy, I was on the road for a full decade as a maybe actually more as a stand-up. I always try to look for a character's sense of humor, because that I know I can get to. And even if they're not being jokey, a character will make a point in their own particular way, and that's kind of what I gravitate to. How they talk about stuff and how they relate information. And if I can get behind that, that gives me a big window to their soul. So that's so it is. I mean, every character is kind of me, but I always want to find what their sense of humor is.
I wonder, Tim, would that have worked for Tuvok? What is Tuvok's sense of humor? It's very Vulcan, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not sure that would fly very much with the Vulcans. I don't know if they allow themselves a good chuckle or a laugh now and then. But at the end of the day, as far as the characters go, to me, it's all about what's coming off the script. It's all about the word. It's the characters, from an acting standpoint, it comes from the script. It comes from the writing. And adopting that character and putting that character on, studying that character, understanding that character, so you can portray them properly. That's for me is what comes down to it. You've got to have the writing. You've got to have the word in order to build or create these characters. From my perspective, because I'm an actor, I'm not creating characters. Curtis might be more so. If you're a comedian, you do create characters right there and live for people to see. That's what they come to see, is this character. Whereas, for myself, I am looking for the script. And as a director, I'm looking for the script. What is that character in the script? What's their background? What are the elements of this character? What are the depths of this character? What is the subtext of this character? What is the objective of this character? So all of that is in the writing. It's in the script. And, and for if I'm directing, the actor's job is to find all of those elements and those nuances and dynamics and bring those to life. And then all I have to do is sort of guide them and see if when they portray these moments, those moments are genuine and believable. And like Curtis said before, we can also play with those moments. They don't always have to be exactly the same. We can do another take and do it a different way. We can pull it back, or we can pick it up and increase that particular beat even more so. So all those things come from the very foundation is the script. So you've got to have, the writing that makes sense. That's where I live. And I don't consider myself a writer. I would rather somebody else do that job, because it's not me, man. As somebody who has the DNA to do it.
Any advice on how to play a Vulcan?
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially focused on the basic core elements of what the Vulcan character is. It is a character that simply does not show emotion, and that is the whole key to this character. The character may feel all these things. The character may be irritated. The character may be curious or something like that. You simply take all of those normal expressions you would make as a human being, and you tamp them down to almost, unrecognizable, just something, you flatten it all out. So it's very subtle. You can have the most subtle, inflections or facial expressions and make this character work. But the character is very, very straightforward, very focused, very practical, very logical, and you simply just back off everything else you know about human beings in that mindset. And again, it'll depend on the writing, because if the writing isn't right, it's not going to work. So I had a couple of occasions when I first started on the series, I was looking at the dialogue, and I'd have to get to the writers and ask them, I think this line would make more sense if it was written in this phrase or this way here, because it's something more Tuvok would do. And so once you know that character as you're playing a Vulcan and somebody gives you the script, you can tell by the writing. The writing is going to dictate how you're going to play that moment and that beat. And the rest of it is simply flattening out, your delivery. It's not emotional. And that's all you have to focus on. Very stiff, very straightforward, very matter of fact, very common sense, very logical, very practical.
If I was playing a Vulcan in the Star Trek RPG, it would be, I guess I still look for the humor, even though a Vulcan's not. Vulcans are still funny. They could be, they can be funny, but they're funny to other people. They're not making jokes. They're funny because they are true and honest to themselves. So that's when I say look for the humor, and that's how I would play a Vulcan, either if I was blessed with being cast as one and by Paramount, or even in an RPG. I would try to be true to that analytical, problem solving aspect of it. And in writing, hopefully I would, if I had to write a Vulcan, that's what I would write. Because I know when I was writing 12-Sided Die, that's one thing I kept asking myself: how would this character say this? How would this character say that? What's Chris's point of view? What's Eric's point of view? And I think even though a Vulcan is, logical and doesn't show emotion, I still think, and Tuvok definitely had a point of view. And I think that's how, and I think that's what makes them unique and dare I say funny. I don't mean funny like, telling jokes, but funny like in the situation.
The Kickstarter for 12-Sided Dice, the season 2, is coming to an end this week. So
Yes.
Links will be down below. Go and check the Kickstarter out. Back it. Let's get it over the line. There's some great moments in it. You'll have seen the trailer that I put together at the front of today's episode as well. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. We get to see some great characterization, and
We had a lot of fun making it. We had a lot of fun making it. I keep saying it was like the Muppets. We all got together and sang a song and built, it was just so much fun. And a lot of that is because Tim Russ knows how to run a set, and everything was just smooth. And I think that comes across. So,
and Curtis knows how to produce a project, and I've got other projects I can certainly compare it to that were not as well organized or efficient, as it were. When I showed up on set, everything and everybody was there and in place, and everybody knew their jobs, and all the things we needed to make it happen were there, and it was just that simple. And it was every single day that we were shooting. So, that's the executive producer branch that's coming to the challenge and doing the job that has to be done. So, as I said before, I come in and, I'm making sure everything gets on camera. I have that specific job. But if I get there and the actors aren't there, or the props aren't there, or the location isn't there, or the sound person is whatever, I can't do my job as well. So it's very good, to have that organizational top-down organizing done. As I said before, as a Vulcan character. The myself and the Vulcan have that in common. We want it, we'd like things to be reasonably organized, and thought out and planned, so that when you get there, you can execute, man,
It's the only logical thing to do, isn't it?
The only logical thing to do. Yes.
There we go. All right, folks. Well, Curtis and Tim, thank you so much for joining me and for chatting about your show and about being Vulcan and all things Vulcan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having us on. I really, really appreciate you having us on, Guy. This is, it's really great. Thank you.
Yeah, very much. Thank you very much for having us. Appreciate it.
So I thought it was very insightful. I really did. I was like, oh, cool. Okay, that's interesting. But did you notice a few things? And I just need to raise them in case you maybe were just too busy listening. When it came to the characters, it was about challenging the core of the character. And that was what made the character interesting. So if you find your character becoming a little bit stale, challenge that character. You've got values for a reason. Use those values. Advance those values. But the character, where did the character come from? Well, in part, let's be honest, it's you. You're playing yourself by virtue of the fact that you are you. And that's wonderful. But the added stuff, the nuances, the things that you are building around, that focus moment, right? The point of view of the character, as Curtis called it, that comes from the backstory. That comes from the character that you have created. And so by focusing on your character creation, and Star Trek Adventures 2 has got that wonderful character journey. It's all there. When you're building your character, it's all there. It's your pastimes. It's your values. It's your focuses. It takes you on that journey of developing it. So expand upon your backstory and make your backstory strong and represent your character's point of view. And if you are like Curtis, your character's sense of humor, where is the laugh? Where's the joke? What makes them smile? What makes them laugh? Or if you are following a pre-created space like the Vulcans, as Tim Russ said, it's already been established. It's been created for you. You now need to take it forward. Take all of that. Look at that backstory. And the character will simply come through. And then challenge that character. And revel in the moments where the character cannot be what the character wants to be. Because that's where it gets interesting. I absolutely love this interview. And I do hope that you can go and support this Kickstarter. Remember, financial stability before gaming. But if you can, I know that they would appreciate the support just to get them through those final hurdles. And if you're lucky enough to go to Gen Con this year in Indianapolis in the USA, I know that the show will be played there before an audience. See if you can grab your tickets now if you want to watch it at Gen Con. What a great place to watch a little wonderful comedy series. I've watched season 1, and I have to say, season 1, you're laughing, but you're going, yeah, it's so true. It's so true. That's why I love this show. Anyway, until next time, remember to smack that like button if you like this show, and I will continue to try my very best to chat to folks from all over the world about their perspectives on playing role-playing games in our beloved universe, our absolutely beloved universe. And you never know who might be on next. Anyway, until next time, massive thank you to my Patreons for keeping the show going, and of course to you for watching all the way until the very end. Until next week, I wish you long life and happy gaming.